Julia, thank you so very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and fellow travelers, good morning for this second day of the 89 Plus Marathon. We're incredibly excited, of course, and above all very excited that Zaha Hadid is with us today in this extraordinary space she and Patrick Schumacher created, and we look so much forward to the conversation with Zaha. As Julia mentioned, this is the beginning of our new space here. We have two places, and both places highlight the Serpentine Gallery and the Serpentine Sackler, highlight the joys of being in the park, of exploration, unexpected discoveries, places to be chanced upon, either by happenstance or by design. This adventure includes, of course, the exhibition on both sides. Julia mentioned the opening shows, where we bring together two exhibitions from very different generations. At the Serpentine Gallery, the legendary Marisa Merz, and here at the Serpentine Sackler, Adrián Villarrojas, the amazing artist from Argentina, who has created over the last 2 months in London more than 2,000 sculptures. We hope you find later during the day time to spend some time also in the galleries. It's almost like a Borgesian library. You can discover Kurt Cobain, almost everything from Kurt Cobain to Jesus, from mathematical abstract forms to jewels made out of found objects, to potatoes, to even the artist's Nike sneakers, which are totally destroyed after 5 years of use. Today, we reboot the planet. The title of the show is about how human actions have changed the planet, about life and death and what comes after. Villarrojas has created an apparently fossilized world of ruins and also ancient monuments that play with the concept of time, history, and the future. And the future leads us back to the extraordinary structure of Zaha Hadid, who has created this volume we are meeting today, and it's a space which opens up to the future, which is very much the topic of the 89 Plus Marathon. The 89 Plus Marathon brings emerging practitioners born in or after 89 together with influential thinkers of all generations. The voices of this 89 Plus generation are only starting to be heard, even though incredibly they make up nearly half of the world's population. 89 Plus is a project which we started with Simon Castells earlier this year. It actually is a dialogue which started 4 years ago in Yokohama, and is a very long-term research project. And it involves, of course, also residencies, grants. Julia mentioned the Rebaudengo grant, which we're going to celebrate later in collaboration with this magazine, and many, many more aspects. And all of this has a lot to do with experimentation. And that's something which, again, leads us back to Zaha. When Julia and I once spoke to Zaha at the very beginning about the building here, Zaha talked about experimentation and told us the following quote: "I know from my experience that without research and experimentation, not much can be discovered. With experimentation, you think you're going to find out one thing, but you actually discover something else. That's what I think is really exciting. You discover much more than you bargained for, so I think there should be no end to experimentation." And that sort of idea of no end to experimentation is very much the motto of the marathon. No end to experimentation is also the story of the great Richard Hamilton. This marathon, 89 Plus, is dedicated to the memory of Richard Hamilton, who died in 2011, who was in many, many of our marathons. And Richard again and again told us how important he feels it is that institutions connect to a young, emerging generation, how important it was for him as an artist at the beginning to have that support. And it was very much his encouragement, which is somehow at the origin. And 89 Plus, of course, also means that the legacy of Richard Hamilton continues, and that he continues to inspire the generations. As Julia said, it's a big collaboratorium. So many people were involved. We're incredibly grateful, of course, to all the participants, very, very grateful to all the sponsors, to everyone who enabled the marathon to happen. Very, very grateful to the amazing teams, the Serpentine teams, the 89 Plus teams, the advisor teams from all over the world. Very, very grateful to DLD for having triggered it all in January. And before handing over to Jochen Walz, to our head of programs, for a third introduction, I wanted to quote the great Kevin McGarry, who wrote a wonderful Instagram last night late, which somehow summarizes in a great way, we think, the 89 Plus story. Here, Kevin McGarry: "Using time to demarcate phases of life is no longer science, it's poetry. Like a Californian without seasons, we observe them anyway. Observing a generation is like making a memory of the present." And now Jochen Walz.